This is News 25 with Unette Gentry. News 25, local news you can count on. News is brought to you by J.K. Nelson Law. Call 727-9900 today for your free consultation. If you need a lawyer, you need Nelson.
Hello and welcome to News 25. I'm Unette Gentry. Deanna O'Donnell is off today, but thanks for tuning in to KPVM TV and Ace Country Radio. Governor Steve Sisolak says Nevada is welcoming refugees from Afghanistan who are fleeing Taliban rule. Governor Sisolak and the agency he created to help immigrants coming to Nevada commits to assisting Afghan refugees and special immigrant visa holders from persecution by the extremist terrorist group, following the Taliban seizing control after the U.S. military evacuated the area under President Biden's order. The Nevada Health Response announces today that we've reached a vaccine milestone. 50% of eligible Nevadans are now fully vaccinated against COVID-19. As of Thursday, more than 2 million COVID-19 vaccine doses by resident county have been administered. More than 60% of residents aged 12 and older have now initiated the vaccination. The COVID-19 vaccine is available for everyone aged 12 and older. New Pfizer and Moderna booster shots are also being recommended, approximately 8 months after a recipient's second dose. Insurance is not a requirement for any COVID vaccine dose, and these vaccinations are free. For more information, go to COVID-19's dashboard on the Nevada Health Response website at nvcovid.fighter.org. And you can also call the hotline at 800-401-0946. And we have some new details tonight about that breaking news we brought you last night involving an active shooter here in Pahrump.
Thursday's active shooter incident started with a report of a shooting in the area of Leslie and Irene Streets. The Nye County Sheriff's Office says the suspect, identified as 33-year-old Jordan Nelson of Pahrump, fired several rounds into his ex-girlfriend's residence, narrowly missing the occupants inside. Nelson fled the scene and returned to his home not far away on Dana Way. When deputies arrived at Nelson's home, he immediately began shooting at them. Officers took cover. Several rounds struck a sheriff's office vehicle. Deputies called for backup and SWAT team members arrived. A negotiator called Nelson repeatedly for nearly 2 hours, trying to get him to cooperate, but Nelson refused to come out of the home. Eventually, officers deployed tear gas into the residence and were able to make entry. Inside, they discovered Nelson with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Officers rendered aid immediately, and Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue medics transported Nelson by ambulance to Desert View Hospital, where he was pronounced deceased. No officers were injured in the gunfire, but several were exposed to the tear gas. Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue set up a decontamination station on scene to assist those officers. News 25 spoke with the suspect's father, who told us he had called the sheriff's office several times to report his son was depressed and suicidal. He went on to explain nothing was ever done to help him.
More local news after this break.
You're watching News 25, the most recognized and farthest reaching local news in Nye County. News 25, local news you can count on.
Welcome back to News 25. Well, the Nye County Sheriff's Office is releasing details of what's being described as a riot at a juvenile facility in Amargosa Valley.
In a video posted to its YouTube channel, the Sheriff's Office says the incident happened on the evening of August 15th. Sheriff's Office deputies and Nevada Highway Patrol troopers responded to the Never Give Up juvenile facility for an initial report that 84 of the youth were trying to escape and that staff was being overpowered. During the clash, staff members were physically attacked by the juveniles. When deputies first arrived, they discovered dozens of juveniles outside the building, but within the fenced area, yelling and throwing things. One staff member was flown to a Las Vegas hospital for treatment of their injuries. Everyone else was treated at the scene. No officers were hurt. The Sheriff's Office says 2 juveniles were taken into custody for their involvement in the melee. All of the other juveniles were captured and returned to the facility by NCSO deputies, except for 2 who escaped the facility. Those 2 juveniles were located at the Maverick gas station in Pahrump the next morning and taken into custody without incident. The Sheriff's Office says because Never Give Up is a state-licensed facility, the incident was reported reported to state authorities.
And NCSO is being honored for its part in helping to rescue a young girl from a rollover crash near Round Mountain.
On May 14th, Nye County deputies, Tonopah EMS, Care Flight, NHP troopers, and several brave passersby helped rescue a 6-year-old girl from the wreckage of a rollover crash outside of Round Mountain. The girl was traveling with her mom and 5-year-old brother from Virginia through the Smoky Valley when the accident occurred. Her mom and brother died in the crash, but thanks to the efforts of those who sprang into action to render aid, the girl survived and was flown to a Reno hospital for treatment of her injuries. Now, Care Flight, a division of REMSA Health, is honoring those who helped the victims of that crash. For its part, the Nye County Sheriff's Office has received the Golden Rotor Award, recognizing the efforts of its officers that day.
Now here's Janet Arrett with news from across the Silver State.
It's time now to take a look at other stories making news across Nevada. According to the Nevada Department of Employment, Training, and Rehabilitation's DETR, the July 2021 economic report states that Nevada added 4,800 jobs back over the month as the state continues to recover and unemployment rates decline. Although the number of jobs remain below typical levels, they are up 100,900 since July 2020, an annual increase of 8.2%. The large increase of employment over the year reflects the significant effects the pandemic had on employment last year. Las Vegas employment increased by 6,500 jobs since June, an increase of 72,200 jobs since July 2020. Reno and Carson City are also seeing higher employment numbers. Nevada is continuing to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. While some industries have exceeded their pre-recession peak employment, others remain significantly lower. Most notably, the casino hotel industry remains down roughly 67,000 jobs from its pre-recession peak and is just 62% recovered, while food services is 97% recovered and retail trade employment is 100% recovered. The state's unemployment rate dropped slightly to 7.7% this month. Now, the Department of Veterans Affairs, Southern Nevada Healthcare System, is hiring 45 nurses for a variety of positions in Las Vegas VA Medical Center. The VAS NHS currently has need for registered nurses to work in the facility's medical and surgical inpatient wards, emergency medicine, and critical intensive care. Hiring incentives will be offered to those selected, and salary ranges between $63,000 to $131,812 per year, based on education, training, experience, and nursing specialty. A career with the U.S. government also provides employees with a comprehensive benefits package. Preferred applicants should have at least 1 year of experience in nursing practice and be a graduate of a school of professional nursing. Applications pending the completion of educational or certification and licensure requirements are welcome to apply, but may not be hired until all requirements are met. The deadline to apply is August 23rd. For more information and to submit an online application, visit usajobs.gov. As the new school year begins, health and education advocates raise concern that kids could be returning to using e-cigarettes. Youth e-cigarette use has become widespread, and the U.S. Surgeon General is declaring it an epidemic. 1 in 5 high school students are using e-cigarettes. As kids return to school, peer pressure and kid-friendly flavors like gummy bear, berry, and mint make the temptation greater. The Tobacco-Free Kids campaign is providing practical tips for parents and educators on how to spot behavioral changes and explain to children that the use of nicotine in any form, including e-cigarettes, is unsafe, harms the adolescent brain development, particularly the parts of the brain responsible for attention, memory, and learning. The Surgeon General also found that using nicotine in adolescents can increase the risk of future addiction to other drugs as well. There is a call on the FDA to act and ban all flavored e-cigarettes. That's it for News Across Nevada. I'm Janet Arrett. Back to you, Unette.
Thanks so much, Janet. And more on those California wildfires when we return.
You're watching News 25, brought to you by Mountain West Lawyer, Injury Attorneys, 727-9500. News 25, local news you can count on.
Welcome back. Well, fire officials are urging people across Nevada and California to remain vigilant, reducing wildfire risk while recreating outdoors. Fire danger is currently high, and firefighters are working to suppress more than 100 large fires across the western U.S. Fire officials are asking forest visitors to use the utmost caution, saying it takes very little to start a damaging wildfire. In fact, the smallest unintentional spark can lead to a large fire when fuels are as dry as they are now. And Pahrump Valley High School is gearing up for the soon-to-start football season. News 25's Doug Ferber caught up with Trojan football coach Joe Clayton on the sidelines during practice.
I'm at Pahrump Valley High School where the Trojans are readying themselves for a season opener. I talked to Joe Clayton, the head coach in his 9th season, about the possibilities for this season. So Coach, now you have 8 games left. You had a 9-game schedule, you have 8 games left. You start next week at Rancho High School in Las Vegas. Tell me what you expect from your team and what you see from them so far this year.
We spend a lot of time in the off season just because we are one of the smaller schools that we compete with the Vegas schools. We spend a lot of off season training, so our boys are prepared, and because of the fact that we did play in the spring, we had a little bit more time in the weight room and training. So our boys are used to all the COVID protocols, so this one game being canceled this week doesn't really affect us too much. We just have prepared the boys to get ready for next week, which will be our first game against Rancho.
Let's talk about your the depth of talent you might have. Do you have receivers? You have a good quarterback?
Right now, we normally have about 80 boys out on a 70 to 80 boys on average. This year, and we think it's due to the pandemic that we don't have the numbers we normally have. We have about 47 boys. We do have some really good senior leadership. However, there's not very many of them. We have 3 or 4 boys that are really solid competitors. So they'll be good leadership for the young kids. We're very young. We're starting quite a few sophomores on both sides of the ball, defensively and offensively. But we do have some young talent. We're just inexperienced.
All right, listen up, fellow foodies. The local VFW Post 10054 is inviting everyone to come down tomorrow and enjoy a lunch from 11 until 1 in the afternoon or until the food runs out. Tomorrow's menu consists of baby back ribs and riblets, your choice of 2 sides, including macaroni salad, potato salad, pinto beans, or fruit. And don't forget about the best cornbread in town. So go on down to the local VFW installation, and while you're there, don't forget to thank a veteran for his or her service. That address is 4651 Homestead Road here in Pahrump. And you can also visit their website to see the happenings of the month at the VFW Post-10054.com. And helping student athletes avoid illness is something we need to focus on, especially while these summer temperatures are still soaring. So how do we keep kids safe from heat illnesses when it's so hot outside? Dr. Keating, a pediatrician with Cleveland Clinic Children's, says hydration is definitely key.
We do think that hydrating is one of the most important things that kids can do when they're exercising in heat. And in general, for athletes that are in high intensity exercise, we want them to be drinking before they're thirsty and hydrating before that, as well as regular cooling down and hydration afterwards.
Risk for heat illness, including heat exhaustion and heat stroke, is highest when kids exercise in hot, humid weather. Symptoms of heat illness include nausea, vomiting, weakness, and confusion. If untreated, heat illness can be deadly. Dehydration increases the risk of heat-related illness. Signs of dehydration include thirst, headache, dizziness, and fatigue. When caught early, dehydration can be easily treated with fluids, but Dr. Keating says getting ahead of the heat is best. He recommends taking frequent breaks, removing pads to cool down, and drinking plenty of fluids.
The vast majority of the time, water is going to be adequate to hydrate athletes, but if you're doing very vigorous activity for probably greater than an hour with high intensity, then a sports drink may help out to help replenish some of those electrolytes.
Dr. Keating says it's important for kids to pay attention to early signs of dehydration. He says kids should know it's okay to speak up and tell their coach if they're not feeling well.
And if you're a homeowner, you've probably decided to take on some renovations or remodels at one point or another. And while you might not be planning to sell anytime soon, considering the resale value on the work you're doing on your home is always important. In today's Ask Angie segment, Bailey Carson is here to talk about your return on investment.
Whether you're looking to do some small home renovations or want to remodel an entire room, it's important to consider return on investment when tackling these projects. Home expert Bailey Carson is here from Angie to give the inside scoop on the work worth the worth.
When you're considering a home renovation project, always think about ROI, or return on investment, particularly if you're thinking about selling. You'll want to focus your time and money on the places in the home where we spend the most time, and really do things that are going to wow buyers.
Whether you're planning a simple room makeover or a complete remodel, you'll want to be sure the money you are putting in is money you can make back and that you're focusing on renovating the areas that make the most sense.
The kitchen is the heart of the home, so renovations there usually have a great payback. Think about things that are going to make it look better or function better. If you keep your budget about 20% of your home's overall value, you're likely to have a return on investment of around 85%.
Think about areas of your home that are really outdated and could cause you to lose a potential buyer. Then upgrade these areas to align better with the rest of the home. Also think of ways to create more livable space both in and outside of the house.
Building a deck can be a great return on investment project. Take a look around at your neighbors to see what's appropriate and what's going to be allowed from a permitting perspective. Decks and patios are particularly wonderful this time of year, and especially now that we can host friends and family.
And don't forget curb appeal. Exterior home renovations are a great idea since the outside of your home is the first thing a potential buyer will see. If they don't like the way the outside looks, they're less likely to want to go inside for a tour.
If your siding's in bad shape, consider repairing or replacing it. It could cost you upwards of $10,000 up front, but it is likely to have a return on investment of 80% plus. Not to mention, it's a great first impression for potential buyers. Updating or replacing your garage door is another great option. It can often have a return on investment of 90% plus.
News 25 WeatherCam is brought to you by Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorney's Office in Pahrump. In a wreck, need a check? Call 702-877-1500.
All right, here's a live look outside through our Lerner and Rowe weather cam. It's a picturesque Friday. One or two scattered clouds in the sky, but it looks like we might have a beautiful weekend forecast ahead. Find out after the break.
News 25 weather is brought to you by Dairy Council of Nevada. The splash of cream in your coffee, the dollop of sour cream on your burrito, the melted toasty cheese on your pizza. Undeniably delicious, undeniably dairy. Enjoy what's real.
Hi, good evening, Nevada. It's John Kohler from the KPVM Channel 25 Weather Studios. I see I've got Bob's big boy hair going today. Like that ridge, how about that? And everybody's liking the weather up and down the state. Actually, pretty moderate day. Nice up in Fernley, Fallon, Carson City, all in the mid-80s. Tonopah, you're stepping out at 82. Look at you, so cool. Goldfield, not much different, 84 degrees. To Beatty, 93 degrees. Feeling nice, about 10 degrees cooler than it has been. Amargosa, 98 degrees, your boy band temperature. Las Vegas at 97. I guess that makes you O-Town. And Death Valley, 108 degrees currently in Death Valley. Oh my goodness! But here in the paradise of Pahrump, let's take a look. 94 degrees, wonderful. A little bit hotter earlier. At 95 was our where we peaked out today. South winds to 12 miles per hour, giving us a little relief, little wiping that dew off the dome. 6:06 a.m. The sun rose this morning in all its glory. It's setting this evening at about 7:27 p.m. And we'll see it get down to about 73 degrees tonight on the low end. Southeasterly winds at 10 miles per hour. What does that look like coming into the week? I don't know. Let's see. Oh, a whole lot of sunshine. Yes, indeed. But it looks like we got about 3-4 days of moderate wind, 18 mile per hour tomorrow on Saturday. Sunday looks like it's calming. Temperatures reliably under the triple digits the next 4 days. And then as the wind calms, well, the temperatures return. We're back up to 102, 105, 106 as we head on into late next week. But that's a problem for future Johnny, and I don't think I'm going to think about it right now. looking forward to the weekend, and I hope you are too. We'll see you on the other side. Back to the desk. Here's Unette.
All right, thanks so much, John. And I love that bunny hop during weather. And we should all hop outside and enjoy those temperatures under the century mark. But remember, stay hydrated. It'll still be sunny. Well, that does it for this edition of News 25. I'm Unette Gentry, and from all of us here at KPVM and Ace Country Radio, thanks so much for joining us this newscast, and we'll see you next week. Good night.